Today I'm going to show you how to make exposure bracketing easier using the custom shutter feature built into the Pen F. Okay, so I'm going to make an assumption that you understand what exposure bracketing is and that you do it regularly. I used to do it on my Nikon a lot for landscape type scenes with sunsets and sunrises, things like that, where I wanted to capture the maximum dynamic range. Or maybe you're in real estate photography and you're doing interior shots and you want to be able to capture the scenery outside of the house on a bright day while exposing properly for the interior so that the windows and the scenery outside isn't all blown out. And that's typically a couple examples of what exposure bracketing is for. Some people do these what they call HDR scenes, where the scene looks very surreal and everything is properly exposed, whether it's the sky or the shadows under the bridge, etc. Personally I prefer a little more natural type scene and still capture all of that dynamic range. Anyway, okay, so let's go into the camera. I'm going to show you how to set the bracketing and also how to set up the custom shutter to make bracketing a little bit easier. So I'm going to turn the camera on and let's just go into the menu, and I'll do what I always do is I'm going to reset the camera back to all the factory defaults. So that way we're on the same page. Now I'm going to do one more thing here, and you don't have to do this on yours. I'm just going to turn the brightness down so that it's a little bit easier to see the buttons that I'm pushing here and the screen at the same time while you're watching. But that's not something that's part of the bracketing demonstration. Okay, so now I'm in shooting menu number 2, and this is where the bracketing feature is. So let's go ahead and turn that on. So I'm going to click the right button. I'm going to scroll down, and you'll see a little right arrow pop up, which means I can click the right button again. And the Pen F has several types of different kinds of bracketing, and you can actually combine some of these bracketing features together and get multiple shots from just one click of the shutter. But for me, there's a lot of choices here, but a lot of times I'll do a 5 exposure 1 EV or 5 frame 1 EV bracketing. So basically what that means is it's going to take 5 pictures. Okay, it's going to take 1 picture at the default exposure, whatever you left it at. If you're shooting in manual or if you're shooting in auto exposure, it's going to take that first picture default. Okay, the next picture is going to go from that default and go -2 stops. Very similar to, or exactly what you would do if you had it adjusted it here on your exposure dial button to -2. And the next picture will be -1 stop, next picture will be +1 stop, and then the last picture will be +2 stops. So that's basically brighter. Okay, now that that's set, let's go ahead. Oops, what happened? It's on. Okay. So some reason I didn't get the bracketing turned on, but now I know the bracketing is turned on because there's a little bracketing icon here. And what you do at this point normally is you're on a tripod and you can click, and that's your first shot, which was a normal exposure. Now the next picture is going to be -2 stops, and you can see that the bracketing icon is green, meaning it hasn't finished this sequence yet of 5 frames. So I'll take the next one. Then now you see it's -1. The next one will be +1, and the next one will be +2. Okay, and now I know I've done all 5 pictures because the bracketing icon is turned back to white. So it's, you can count it off in your head, or if you're doing a 7 frame exposure, sometimes a little hard to keep track, so this little icon turning from white to green then back to white is really helpful. But there's an even easier way to do bracketing on the Pen F by programming a custom shutter sequence. And what you do is you go into the Super Control panel, you just click the OK button, and I want to go into the shutter mode here. So I'm going to click OK on that. And then I'm just going to scroll over until I get to the C timer. So custom self timer. Personally, I prefer to do the custom timer anti-shock, so there's no vibration type things going on, or it reduces the vibration potential. Let me go back in here, and then the next thing I need to do is program it. Right now it's defaulting to a 1 second delay, take 3 pictures, 1/2 second between each picture, and then autofocus every frame is on. But remember, I set the bracketing, so I'm going to click the info button. Now I can change these things. Remember, I set the bracketing to take 5 frames. So I'm going to set this to take 5 frames. And then I'm going to do 1 second in between each shot. Just, again, to minimize the potential vibrations. And I'm going to turn every frame autofocus off. Okay. And then the other thing here, this timer, if you're on a very sturdy tripod or like on this table, 1 second timer is enough. If you're on a tripod outside, 5 seconds usually enough unless it's really windy. And if you're on a monopod, I'd recommend a 10-second delay just to be sure nothing is moving, particularly if you're using a telephoto lens. But for this demo, let's just do 5-second delay. Okay, so let me show you that again. 5-second delay, 5 frames, 1 second between each frame, autofocus is off. And you turn off the autofocus because normally you're taking a static scene and you're already focused on one single point. Okay, so now that that's programmed, all I have to do is hit the shutter button once, and I don't have to be too delicate when I push it because I know there's a 5-second delay, and we'll just let it go. And that is so much better than pushing the shutter 5 times yourself, potentially moving the camera slightly. Because, what's going to happen is when you go back into post, you're going to have to merge these pictures together. And, a decent software will try to align these things because they could be off 1 pixel. Just breathing on it will make it off 1 pixel. And you're going to lose a tiny bit of resolution every time that happens. Doing it this way, you minimize all of that, and you don't have to keep counting your head. You don't have to look at the back of the screen to see if this icon's green or white. You just click the shutter button once, you wait 5 seconds, and then it does everything automatically from there. Okay. It's that easy. And I use this a lot when I'm doing some real estate photography, because I can just go room to room, click the shutter button, I'm done. Go to the next room, click the shutter button, in 10 seconds I'm done. So I'm done basically in 10 seconds for each shot, as opposed to the way I used to do it was, click this 5 times. Okay, I'm going to show you one more quick thing that's kind of cool. This is in the bracketing. I mentioned you can actually combine some of the bracketing features. So let me go into the art bracketing, and we'll turn that on. And again, you see a right arrow, so that means you can go over and select some more options. So I'm going to turn off some of these because this static scene here, let's say I want to try some black and white. Well, we'll keep grainy film 2. Let's see what a pinhole looks like. And then we'll turn off the rest of these. Dramatic tone 1 and 2 are kind of cool. We'll do 1 in watercolor, and I don't care for any of the other ones here. Okay. Alright, so click the menu to go back. Click OK to turn that on. Make sure that's on. Click OK. So now the bracketing is on. And I confirm that bracketing is on because I see the little white icon. Now, let me take this picture again. And I've got the 5-second delay. Take 5 shots. Now you'll notice there's more than a 1-second delay between each picture, because what it's doing is it's doing that art bracketing as well. So it's taking the grain 1, grain 2, and I can't remember the other ones I selected. So although I set this for a 1-second delay, it's taking longer, like 2 to 3 seconds between each color. And now you can see that for each exposure bracket, it took all of those different art brackets as well for each exposure. So let's go into the play menu, and I'm going to scroll out. And as you can see, it took the art bracketing combined with the exposure bracketing. So this is kind of cool. So let's see, this is a +2 color, which looks like crap. This was a +2 art 10, I'm not sure. But anyway, there's probably one of the pinholes, but I can scroll down and see which ones I like. Like that one's not bad. But there you go. But you get the idea. So you know, there's other types of exposure bracketing. I'm sorry, not exposure bracket, but other types of bracketing. It looks like there was a white balance bracketing in addition to the art balance bracketing. And there's some ISO bracketing. So if you want to take shots at different ISOs. And honestly, I'm not sure what the FL bracketing is. Maybe flash bracketing. It's not something I've ever used. And personally, I really only use auto exposure bracketing, but the art bracketing looks like something I might try just for fun too. So anyway, hopefully you liked that video. Go ahead and hit the like button for me. That you know, makes me feel good that I'm making videos that people like. And subscribe, because I'm going to try and make more videos that are very detailed like this, and you know, give you examples and just show you how it's done directly on the camera. So again, thanks for watching, and hopefully we'll see you again soon. Oh, I'm sorry, and also leave some comments below. I try to reply to those if you have any questions, or if you want to see me do some other types of videos, explain different features on the Pen F, I'll be happy to give it a shot. Okay, thanks again.